think we'll be online in next 2 seconds. Yeah. Namaste, everybody. Good afternoon. It's a very happy new year, and we are all having such high expectations from this year because the last year was a very challenging year for most of us, and most of us lost something in this year. Either we lost a loved one, we lost money, income, lost meeting a friend, something went on in our space, and somewhere life wasn't the same. What was interesting, we learned how to live without too much. We learned how to be in our means, and we learned that we were basically hoarding a lot of things. Hoarding stuff is not very good for anything. So it only comes out of greed. Now in 2021, we just thought Archana called me up an hour back and said, चलो कुछ करते हैं, साल नया है, सबको हाय करते हैं, नमस्ते करते हैं 2 मिनट के लिए. मैं बोला अर्चना 2 मिनट के लिए तो कुछ नहीं होने वाला. 2 minutes is a too little a space for us to talk about something. So here we have Dr. Archana back again with Bhagavad Gita, and she's going to be talking to us something unusual today about Krishna's Virat Roop. So over to Dr. Archana. Thank you.
Namaskar. Hello, everybody, and wishing you all a blessed 2021. Okay, now we have talked about a lot of different aspects of Sri Krishna. Today, I would ask each one of us to go inside the depths of our heart to find out what does Krishna mean for all of us. We have been talking a lot about Krishna consciousness. I today, by this beautiful new year, want to tap that consciousness, that Krishna existing in each one of you. And believe you me, when I was thinking on these lines, I think I evoked a lot of emotions in myself. Understanding the existence, the vastness, the beauty, the largeness, the expansiveness of Krishna. It is not even funny. You know, I realized, and I was watching this particular video of one of the Mahabharata episodes, where in chapter 11, Sri Krishna actually shows his Virat Roop. Virat Roop is the expansive divine form of Sri Krishna that he shows visibly to Arjun. Okay, now that was just one roop that Sri Krishna brought in front of Arjun. The description of that is given in chapter 11. And when we go through Gita, I'll just give you a glimpse of it and talk about the expansiveness in all our hearts today. The way that every character, every person, not every, but a few definitely, and I have picked up just a few mystical ones who themselves were very strong people existing in the Mahabharata, who were either responsible for Mahabharata, who were responsible for all of us to be blessed by the knowledge of Gita. Now, I remember mentioning this once, that Sri Krishna is actually saying that when we do the Havan, when we do the rituals, he is saying in shlokas that I am that ritual. Please understand, it is he himself, his vastness, his existence. He's saying the rules of Havan, the rules of the ritual is him. He is the ritual himself. And all that havan samagri, that nourishments that we offer to the Lord of Fire in the ritual, he is saying that that nourishment is me. I am the extract of the nourishment. Okay, he's saying even the words that we chant, the fuel that exists, the fire in the pot, and what is offered in the pot as nourishment or om that we say, all that is him, he and only he. He is describing everything from living, non living, animate or non animate. Please understand, he says everything is him. The three words of Omkar is him. He is the path. He is the Lord. He is the bearer. He is the witness. He is the one who resides as the fuel in all of us. Now, today I am going to talk to you about, just imagine what all those people thought about Krishna. Now, can you imagine that Sri Krishna has been there in Mahabharata from the beginning till the end, where it was almost complete destruction of the Kauravas. All right. To a large extent, I remember when I was reading Mahabharata, it actually mentions that Sri Krishna went as a peaceful messengers to the Kauravas, asking them that just grant 5 small villages and the Pandavas will not claim any land of yours. But the greed of Duryodhan did not allow that. Now, I want you to sit and imagine. Now, for people who do not know exactly who Duryodhan is, Duryodhan was the eldest son of King Dhritarashtra. All right. One of the main persons, the pivot, the reason for which the fight of Mahabharata happened was the greed of Duryodhan. For some reason, since childhood, Duryodhan never felt complete. He always felt insecure and he always felt that the Pandavas were favored and the Kauravas, they're the two cousins, the Pandavas and the Kauravas. We've talked about all that. So he always had a feeling that the Kauravas were the unprivileged one. They did not get their right, whereas it is not true. When we go through the chapters of Mahabharata, we understand that they were equally privileged, they were equally blessed, they were equally given opportunities. Now, just imagine, what does Duryodhan think of Sri Krishna? Okay, before starting off what Duryodhan is thinking about Sri Krishna, I'll just give my feeling of what Sri Krishna is. It is not the consciousness I'm talking about. If you read Krishna Leela, if you listen about Sri Krishna, he took birth in a jail, in a prison. All right? He was one of the last births, second last birth that happened to his mother, and all of his 7 cousins before him were killed by his own uncle, his mama, his mother's brother, all right, in the prison, because it was predicted that his sister's son will be the slayer of Kans, who was a very cruel king that time in the kingdom of Mathura. All right. Now, I just imagine the amount of ups and downs, the changes, the suddenness, the problems that Sri Krishna has faced from his birth till the end. He took birth there in the prison. And when that happened, it was at midnight. The existence of his came, and all the guards who were kept outside the prison of his sisters, where the birth had taken place, they all went off to sleep, and the doors, due to divine presence, opened themselves. Now just imagine he was carried in a basket of cane through forests, rivers, and it was pouring that night. His father replaced Krishna to somebody's daughter in the village. All right. So he left his mother of birth. He was taken care in Gokul by another mother. All right. Now, just imagine at a very small age, when he was almost breastfeeding, there were demons, there were devils sent to kill him. And all through Krishna Leela, you will go through the learning that how he somehow was fighting about existence, his survival, his existence, all through his childhood. Okay. And after that comes the love of his life, which is called Radhe. She is another very simpleton from the village, and they are eternal lovers. Due to some curse, they have taken birth on earth to show the existence of love, come what may. That's the purity. And when I say love, it means unprejudiced, unbiased kind of love, which exists in complete innocence and devotion. It is not the sexual love that I'm talking about. It is the kind of commitment, the kind of, love that we would have, the kind of loyalty we would have, the kind of allegiance, the kind of devotion we would have to somebody, the kind of dedication we would have to somebody, that kind of love, that unquestionable, loyal, you know, fidel love that I'm talking about. That was Radhe in his life.
Really believe that there is love like this today? Do you really, really believe? Because on this day where we are talking about New Year and we are bringing about, talk about Radha and Krishna, and so beautiful. Yet there are many, 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 many people, and I know of many who obsess in love, who are using probably a law of attraction for love, who think that, oh, because they felt in a certain way with a certain person, that is love. um, the man and woman love is something that has always happened and has been as ancient as when we were born or mankind started. Now,
Yes.
what is so, when we say unconditional, my question is, does that really exist? And if it does, how would you know this is true love? Because we talk so much about the unconditional love, and yet I find a lot of people use this phrase, I fall in love. If you've already fallen, how can you rise in love? So, how can we rise in love rather than fall in love? Thank you so much.
Anu, I think this is something which I personally feel. You know, the kind of innocent love that teenagers have. That, that feeling of love when you see somebody and you fall in love and you haven't really reached the stage where you have confessed your love, but that thought of purity, it's like that beautiful childlike love where it is just the devotion, the love, the giving that is there. And it's not that I say that it's we don't expect anything. That's what is unconditional, right? That's what the word means. I personally feel that any relationship, any love, where you are willing to do things for the person that you are fond of with complete honesty and truthfulness in today's time is unconditional love. And expectation definitely does not come in the package. That is not part of that kind of love. Yeah.
I've often made fun of this, Archana, and said that there is nothing called unconditional because everything is so conditional today.
Yeah.
Everything is so if you have a pro, you have a con with it. You
Yeah.
have, how do you say, action and a reaction.
Yes.
And
Always.
because we have an action and reaction, personally feel that there is nothing called unconditional. Yet, if we can experience that feeling of devotion, I feel that by itself is a very big thing.
Anu, I personally feel we all have gone through that feeling with somebody or other in our life. It is not humanly possible. You know what happens that once we get into that feeling, once we are in that beautiful phase of love, we actually are very pure in our heart because we do not see anything else. It is, something like everybody might call, like, let's give example of Heer and Ranjha. They were people who existed, whom people know. All right, they were living people. They were not divinities. All right. Now, just imagine. Apparently, people say that he was not anything great out of beauty. Apparently, she was an average looking lady. Okay. But when Ranjha looked at her, it was his eyes. And he could not see anything else but Heer in everything that he wanted to do. And he did not want anything else in life. I mean, we have heard of stories where they were both separately tortured, stoned, and God knows what not by the society of that time. Okay. Now, that kind of passion and love, where even Ranjha at times would forgive the people who were stoning him and say that it's okay, they are doing what they want to do. That cannot shatter my love and devotion to my Heer. That is the kind of love I'm talking about. And here, when we talk about Sri Krishna and their unconditional love, Anu, I was just remembering, just imagine when we talk about Sri Krishna as a child, he was one hell of a prankster, a young lad from a village who actually loved throwing pebbles on the pots of water that those village girls would fill, because in those times there were no taps. So they would go to the river Yamuna, fill their pots, they would carry 2 to 3 pots on their head and walk back to their house. Just imagine where your house or village is and you're going to the river filling water, and it was his usual prank. He would do that. He would hit pebbles, break those pots, and the ladies had to go back home, get fresh pots, and then again do the whole chore. But they felt what kind of love towards Krishna that they enjoyed it. And then the enchantment of his flute that he played. It is said that when he started playing the flute, the gopis, they actually, if they were making the bread on the tawa, Anu, they would leave the bread right there. They would not even turn it or forget to turn it. And they would remove their anklets from one foot, tell their mother-in-laws or mothers that, I dropped my anklet next to the river or I've lost them. They would make such excuses and just run to go and meet Sri Krishna. Just imagine that kind of enchantment, that beauty. And I was just thinking, and the amount, the ras that he would do, the grace of his dance. And I feel that I have not come across a more irresistible lover than Sri Krishna. If you really.
Richard Fluke, who is one of my mentors, and right now he's in France. He was in Canada.
Okay.
And a Brit guy who first taught me meta health, Archana.
Yeah.
He was here. This is what he would say. Oh, it's all about falling in love with someone you should have never fallen in love with.
when I talk, it's a fact. It's an absolute fact. And I look at, and besides this, he was a very valiant warrior. He fought wars. He did not fight Mahabharat, but besides that, he did fight wars. And he had the capacity to incapacitate his foes, even without the usage of shatras or arms. He was an intellect to supreme order, a perfect gentleman, a yogi. And just imagine, you worship a man, like I am in love with Sri Krishna in every form, from his childhood to whatever he was. And just imagine having all those variations, those colorful incarnations. I mean, I've just described almost the whole life of Sri Krishna from his birth to what he finally became, who spoke the Gita that we are talking about. That level of intellect, that Advait Gyan that he gave us. Advait is when a person is talking about non-duality, just oneness. So just imagine that prankster, that flute player, that dancer, that lover, that everything, and then Gita.
Basically, Archana, Lord Krishna is saying, you're allowed to live life,
yes,
spirituality, with a smile, with mischief, with fun, with being in love, and then move
everything.
to be
Yes,
serious. You don't have to be closing your eyes and with seriousness.
don't.
Now I will achieve. God Himself did not sit like this with His eyes
That's
closed.
the only reason why I picked this today. That we have to learn from his example of living.
Absolutely, Archana. And with what you've taught me over the last few months, I would say last 2 months, is that the other king was blind. He closed his eyes, and so did his wife. And they say if they hadn't closed their eyes, if his wife hadn't closed her eyes, things would have been different.
Definitely.
You don't close to everything. Meditation is an answer, but you're not closing eyes is not an answer to everything. No. Open your eyes does not mean let things happen under your thing and let them go under the carpet and you say, oh, I am being Dharmatma. No, you're not.
No,
you are not any service towards you. God gave you eyes to see. God gave you all these senses to make use
to see. Absolutely.
And He's given you all these senses. He's given you the gateways of achieving anything in the world. Anything in the world. And yet we have excuses on excuses and excuses. All we make is resolutions and excuses. If Shaina was here, she would have used this whole term of bed. People are in their bed. B stands for blame. E stands for excuses, and I don't remember what D stands for. But amazing, when I first heard Shaina say, oh, you know what? People like to be in bed, and I looked at her and said, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. So if we get out of all this, we can probably begin our year with much more brightness. Over to Archana.
Just imagine Duryodhan telling and looking at Sri Krishna from his own eyes. According to Duryodhan, Sri Krishna himself is a complete rogue. He says he's the kind of rogue, he's the kind of rascal. These are the words that he's used, mind you. Sorry. But that's what he's saying. I am talking about how we visualize people and how, now that after we described Sri Krishna in a very small gist, Duryodhan would see Sri Krishna smiling at all the time, whatever situation Sri Krishna was in. He said that he's the kind of man who can sit with old women and gossip. He is the kind of man who can go and play with kids. And he is the kind of man who is capable of saying Gita. He's the kind of man which led to Mahabharata. Now, according to Duryodhan, Sri Krishna is one bad person, good for nothing. Okay. Let's come down to Shakuni. Shakuni is Duryodhan's uncle or mama, and he is an absolute cunning person, deceitful to the extent that you can go through. And he says, okay, for some reason, Duryodhan had this question that Sri Krishna cannot be divine because he does all these things. He's playing flute, he's dancing with women, gossiping, playing, and loving women. And there are stories, and which is a fact, that Sri Krishna actually married around 16,000 ladies. It was not a marriage like consummated marriage, but it was a marriage where he had to marry those women because they were abducted by a particular asura or a demon, and they were made to feel impure, and the society would not have taken them back. So Sri Krishna gave his name to those 16,000 ladies, and they were called as wife of Sri Krishna, so that nobody dared touch their purity. That was the reason. So Duryodhan said that a man who can marry 16,000 women, have a Bollywood style, how can he be divine? He had that question all through till the end. Shakuni, his uncle, the cunning person, he said, okay, fine, I accept that Sri Krishna is God. So what? Even if he's divine, so what? I don't like him. I don't want to praise him. I just don't understand what he does. That is what we do in situations where we do not understand the vastness or expansiveness of things. And then let's talk about Karn. Karn is the warrior who was born to Kunti, the mother of the Pandavas, but he was born out of a wedlock. He was born by the blessing of Lord Sun, who blessed Kunti, giving her a son, because she was given the powers to chant a particular mantra. And once she would do that, the god had to appear and bless her with a child. So she just wanted to try this particular chant given to her by a sage. And then she had Karn. So she had just given birth to Karn, and then she put him in a basket and dropped him in a running water, where he was taken out by a person who was a cloth weaver, and then he was brought up by those people. So now Karn, in his blood, is a warrior, but he was brought up by people who were weavers basically. So he was called Sutputra. Sut is the cotton thread that we talk about. Okay, so Sutputra. Whereas he was Suryaputra, that is the son of Lord Sun. S-U-N and S-O-N, both. Okay. Now, what is happening? When Karn met Sri Krishna, his existence was very, very peaceful. His meeting with Sri Krishna was very peaceful, and he acknowledged a presence of divinity. Okay. Next person that I want to talk about is Shikhandini. Shikhandini is one of the most tortured souls in Mahabharata. She is the sister of Panchali or Draupadi, and her only aim of birth was taking the revenge by killing Bhishma Pitama. Bhishma Pitama is the great grandfather of Kauravas and Pandavas. Okay. Sri Krishna, when he met Shikhandini, there is a particular chapter where Shikhandini says this, that I am there on this earth, and Sri Krishna has never given me any kind of promise or hope to achieve what I have come to this earth for. But just being around him, just him having his aura around me, his existence around me, his presence around me, gives me eternal hope. Here I am describing that Sri Krishna never promised Shikhandani anything. And yes, in Mahabharata, Shikhandani achieves what she had come to this earth for. We will learn all this when we read about the fights. There's one more person who's called Akrur. Akrur was the minister in the kingdom of Mathura. Akrur ji very clearly describes that when I look at Sri Krishna, I feel the presence of the brightness of the celestial bodies of the sun, the moon, and the seven stars. That is what he says. And he says, when I hear Sri Krishna talking, I feel it is the voice of eternal hope. Now, these are all different people. Last but not the least, I would love to talk about what Radha has to say about Sri Krishna. Now, Radha, we already understand, is the childhood and the eternal love of Sri Krishna. Eternal love means the unfaltering kind of love where a person has complete dedication and devotion. We, I am sure, have had the pleasure of feeling this kind of love for somebody or someone somewhere in our life. In today's time, when we talk about Radha and Krishna, can you imagine, Anu, we take the name of Radhe before Krishna? The existence of Radha, she was just a village commoner. All right? Just imagine that she, her name, her love, her dedication, her devoutness, her allegiance to Sri Krishna gave her the privilege of existing and her name to be taken before Sri Krishna himself. It's basically what I'm trying to tell you, that anything in our life, when we devote ourselves to it, we are capable of not only achieving it, even surpassing whatever it is. It is our love, our dedication like Radha, our faithfulness, our complete surrender to whatever it is. For Radha, she has always mentioned that I see Krishna in everything. And even though she was married to somebody else, she never consummated that marriage. She was married to Ayan, another villager, but that marriage was never consummated, and she always was dedicated to Sri Krishna. Even though Sri Krishna never came back to her once he left Gokul, the village.
A lot of questions coming up here in my head.
Yes.
Sure, this will be also something that will come up in other people's head. One, if he was, so it looks as if in our granthas also, the man can have one woman and have plenty other, and woman at the same time is also allowed to basically not consummate marriage with whoever she's been forcefully married to or has to stay with the man, but is committed to someone else. If in today's world we say, "Aaj ka zamana badal gaya hai," today the world has changed, and oh my God,
it's always like that.
Talking like this and men are talking like this.
No. Just look at it in Mahabharata itself, where Draupadi was asked to marry the 5 Pandavas.
Yeah.
By their mother. She agreed to have 5 husbands. because there was a time when this episode happened that Draupadi was asked to marry them. The eldest of the Pandavas, said very clearly to Draupadi that Draupadi, we have to honor what our mother has said. All right. But if you do not agree to this, we are happy, all four of us. That was Arjun was married to Draupadi by then, but Bhim, Nakul, Sahadev, and Yudhishthir, the other four brothers, they said we will renunciate their home life. And we are willing to do that if you do not want to marry us. Even at that time, it was entirely left on Draupadi's discretion to marry the four or not. They
Absolutely.
said we are willing to, give up the home life, but we will be around as the four brothers, and you would be only wife of Arjun. But she agreed to marry the rest of the four.
I get it. Another point that you brought up was that Radhe's name is taken before Krishna.
Yeah.
Even in our Hindu marriages, in the marriages, you always find when you're taking the rounds around the fire, basically the lavas they're called,
Yeah.
the woman walks in front of the man,
Yes.
as if to signify that without her devotion, this marriage will not work. And beautifully, if we look otherwise in any mall today or anywhere where we are walking and seeing just normal crowd, this is something I always make fun of actually. That the man will be walking in front, his wife will be behind, and his two children will be even further behind, as if to show the hierarchy in which the people say. My nani used to say this, that's my grandmom used to say this. The house in which the woman is not given respect, that house can never create abundance. The house in which the woman leads the way, that house is extremely abundant and prosperous. And it seems like by taking Radha's name before Krishna, and she was a very big devotee of Radha and Krishna. In fact, today I would ask your permission and permission of everybody to show few photographs over the net which I have of Krishna, so that we know, we give a face to Krishna for people who don't know what Krishna
Anu,
looked like.
when you're showing that, there is one thing that I would like you to show because you're showing the images. There are a few images which are Ardhanarishwar. All right.
So
That is
I will keep pulling them out of Google.
okay. Because that is a particular picture where at a particular time when Radha and Krishna were separating in the body and the physical Panchbhut form, that is when Radha said that you are never going to come back to me in the physical form. And Sri Krishna actually showed her that Radha, my existence is half without you because you are the energy, you are the strength, you are the movement, you are everything that makes me complete.
Wow.
So there is this particular picture on Google, and it is called Radha Krishna Ardhanarishwar.
Okay, I will search for that.
Yeah.
You can continue then. Thank you so much.
So, the fact that her commitment made her even larger than Krishna himself. That's the only reason today there is a particular bhajan that I would like to just say a line where it is said that Radhe Radhe Bolo Chale Aayenge Bihari. Bihari is just another name of Lord Krishna. All right. And what it means is that even if by the purity of heart you chant only Radhe Radhe, you are achieving Sri Krishna himself. That means that Radha himself is the embodiment to complete Sri Krishna. She herself is completely Shri Krishna herself. There are a lot of, stories where we have learned that the ladies, like we talk about Shiv and Parvati, who are two divinities themselves, they say that Shiv's existence is impossible without energy form, without the just form of Parvati. So that is the kind of beauty, and that is, Anu, what I want to get to the people in today's time. That today, when we are all working, when the women force is working, earning, running the house, doing everything, the only reason why I brought this up today was it's a beautiful day, beginning the year. People, please understand that we are like that Ardhanarishwar. Half of both yin and yang can make the circle complete. Half of both man and woman, Nari and Purush, the feminine and the masculine, can make everything complete.
And so beautifully, in Meta Health, if we look at, or in, we all know that we have all.
Recording has gone off, Anu. Sorry for that.
What has gone off?
The recording. It's going live on the Facebook. But okay, now it's there. Yes.
Okay, so I just want you to get this. It's so beautiful that every woman's body has male hormones, and every
Yes.
male body has female hormones.
Yes.
And it's at the time of puberty that the female hormones become higher in a female, and she looks like a female.
Yes.
And a male looks like a male because he has testosterone and androgen, which will go higher at that point. So basically, what they are talking about, half a man, half a woman, and that creating balance is basically going back to the hormonal status of our body, where yes, we have all the four hormones present in our body, and every male and every female has it. So just wanted to say that what is written here in the granthas, we later pick up in the science and say, yes, it's true.
Yes. And just imagine, Anu, that there are descriptions of Sri Krishna very clearly saying that if Radhe would not exist in form of energy in me, I am not capable of doing the greatness that I did. That means even divinities accept the yin and yang to complete themselves, to complete the circle, and to create the complete universe. So today in this modern world, in the Kali Yuga, why do we fight on the male and the female, feminine, masculine? Why do we have all that? The only reason I'm talking to you all about this is today that is the kind of love where if we have complete surrender to each other, it doesn't have to be a man and woman only, it can be any relationship. If you have that kind of affection and surrender, it is not possible that you cannot be a happy and a satisfied person. It's not possible. And we have to understand that phrases like every woman is there behind every success, there's a woman behind every successful man, did not just pop out. It is either ways. It's not just one way. But yes, there are every male and feminine energies, they have their qualities, they have their positivities. We need to accept them, join them, align them, and move ahead in this year. And only then, in our house, in our homes, we can have a peaceful environment, and probably in the universe and our countries, we can have a peaceful environment.
You know, we are so, there was a constellation done at Bert Hellinger Institute, and they found that so many Indian women are so angry with men because of what's happening. And so many men in their marriages, expectation was very different. They thought they're getting a lover, somebody who's going to complete them. You know, we often believe that a companion is going to complete us in some form. And what was interesting, I'm so angry with my other half. and that other half exists in me only, if I'm so angry with one half of me, how will I exist inside me with any kind of, how do you say, harmony? So
Exactly.
when we are angry with one half of the society, we are angry with ourselves.
We
And we
are
can,
definitely,
so
definitely.
I really believe that the way to peace is that if we can, in some form, embrace and accept every bit of what we are rejecting, then we might be complete.
That's the only way. And yes, please, we are very fragile creatures. 2020 has actually shown us that all that might that we have is absolutely fake. We were all locked down in our own houses, in our own four walls, much against our desires, but we could do nothing. So, really, when the energies, when the nature decides to lock us down, she's capable of doing it. And all those, we are like those bubbles who can just pop any minute. Anything that has taken birth is going to pop off someday. But today, when we are living, when we are existing, make it your best.
I want to
And
bring here, we lost our master trainer, Walter
oh,
Reiner, in Germany last year. We also lost Bharti Kapoor, who was a healer in Delhi,
yes,
and many more people. These are these are just two names. It's so many people who left planet Earth. I feel very grateful, and I also feel very humbled that we were still given another chance so far. I've also seen, and so have you, a lot of people being in very, very difficult places. Let's not reject all this.
yes,
Let's accept this as part of our learning. Because if we reject 2020, we will never be accepting anything in our life. 2020 came in to teach us such brilliant life lessons. I, for the first time in 2020, understood कि खुद की जैसे पहले, I know I've always heard this, दूसरों की जैसे पहले खुद की जय करे, which means before you say namaste or before you pray to someone else, learn to pray to yourself. But I also understood that in the time of pain, if you don't stand up for people, whatever you have, you don't share it, you're going to be left alone.
absolutely. There's
The
one more thing, Anu, which I feel is the strength that I feel I get. And we all, like the way when you were asking, how can you have an unconditional love or unconditional feeling for anything? There was this Doha of Kabir Das ji that was coming to me. It goes as Sant na chhode santai, jo kotik mile asant. I'll translate it for you. Sant is a saint, would never leave his character of being a saint. जो कोटिक मिले, he might come around thousands of people who are not saintly, who are actually cunning or crude or any other word that you have for a person who's not a saint. He does not leave his character. Okay, like how Chandan Bhuvanga बैठिया Tau Silalta na Tajant. What it means is that the way the tree of Chandan, there's a very beautiful, we all know the Chandan. It's a tree which leads a beautiful fragrance. And that tree, wherever it is in the forest, Anu, it is covered by poisonous snakes. You cannot approach that tree, it is not possible. All right. So what it is saying, that even though the Chandan is Chandan Bhuvanga Bethiya, matlab it is covered by Bhuvang. Bhuvang is a snake. It's you know uh, covered by poisonous snakes. Par Sitalta na Tajan, still it does not give up its virtue of distributing peace, fragrance, and because the fragrance, the tree has a enormous capacity of providing a kind of shitalta. Shitalta would be, I think,
Calmness,
um,
thunder.
peaceful.
Yeah.
Yeah, tranquility in a sense. Yes, that kind of peacefulness, even though it is covered by enormous poisonous snakes. So similarly, probably if we are so strong in our characters of loving, of devotion, of dedication, of whatever our qualities are, however amount of snakes we are surrounded by, we will be standing steadfast. I seriously feel that.
Wonderful. With that beautiful note, I'm going to show you all some photographs sharing from Google.
Okay.
So thank you, Google. But I just thought it would be nice. We've been talking about Krishna and really not showing you what Krishna looks like. So I think all of you can. Okay, can you all see Krishna? Different
Yeah.
photographs of Krishna.
Yes. Yes.
Just wanted, I didn't create a PowerPoint. I just thought on the
No, no. It
moment,
This whole show is just spontaneous. There's nothing created here.
just this is Radha and
Yes.
Krishna together. And this is Krishna. So many different ways of people looking at Lord Krishna.
It is so beautiful, Anu, that we all also go through so many phases in our life. And if
Yes,
we can understand to live all of them so beautifully, I think we are going to be the most happiest people on this earth. Anu, can you just focus on that Virat Roop one, the one with where all the heads are shown?
this is what we
Yes.
spoke about today.
This is basically the Virat Roop of Sri Krishna, which was mentioned in Gita. Here, basically, it is showing that Sri Krishna evolves everything, and everything in the end goes back and ends in him only. That is the expansiveness of Sri Krishna. That's the Virat Roop.
Absolutely. I'm also going to show you the form that Archana had requested just after a few more photographs here. Just thought that it would be nice for us to
Just
kind
imagine a boy like this picture, a simpleton from a village playing flute and then giving the Gyan of Gita. The depth of that person. That's why I say कि हम गीता सुनते तो हैं, we listen to it, but we do not live by it. When we learn to live by it, we are going to be the happiest of people.
this is today reminding me of my grandmother's uh, temple, and she would have Radha Krishna very much in her temple, and
Yeah.
how beautiful her temple looked
And
because of Radha Krishna together. How
Anu,
beautiful!
in any case, even just to tell everybody,
This is
it is
exactly
meant.
my grandmother's temple would look.
Oh,
Exactly my
oh,
grandmother's temple would look. She
wow.
would decorate and not just decorate, she would, how do you say it? She would,
Anu, there is a complete ritual. Do you know that you make the food and you offer?
yes, and I've
Yes,
seen that in my
and
childhood.
it's like from morning till night. And the way when we go to sleep, At night, you give the prasad and then you cover the Lord with the sheet or the shawl in winters and say good night and then you go to sleep. Because
Yes.
that's what it is saying. That is what Sri Krishna is saying, that don't limit me there. I am existing in life. So that's how they treat the idols. That's how you love the idols. And that is what there's another saint in India. We had Mirabai, if you know about her, who was an ardent follower of Sri Krishna, but she never had the experience of meeting Sri Krishna per se by face, because there were different times. But they say that when she died, it was a closed room where she would worship him. And when she left the Panch Mahabhut, they say that her soul went into the Murti itself, the live existence of the Murti. That is
Wow.
how Mirabai, in the end, achieved her goal of meeting Sri Krishna.
I'm going to show you some pictures of Radha and Krishna together,
Yes, please.
and the form in which
Yes,
he's.
the Ardhanarishwar. Yes, this is what I was talking about, people. The yin and yang together, the feminine and the masculine together. It is not possible to exist alone. We might be in the Panch Mahabhut existing as different people, but we are one. That is what it means.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of really fascinated by how beautiful the pictures have been created, and it's like
That's how the universe was created, Anu.
who are like so, they feel very blessed when they are in this space.
Yes.
I think this particular one is really pretty. Then we have a lot of Shiv and Parvati.
Shiv Parvati Ardhanarishwar, yes. Even
Ishwar.
they are also explaining that only.
So for people, you can always go on the net and have a look. I just wanted to start the year with some more visuals rather than we just talking. Uh, I will ask Archana first to conclude before I conclude the session. So, Archana, what is it that you would like people to stay with today?
Just one small thing. Please be honest in your actions, your thoughts, and your words. Nothing else. That itself will give you, take you to a space where you will feel blessed. That's all. Have a great year.
And I will conclude it by saying that we don't know how every day of this year is going to be. But I love the expectation, the positive expectation that we have for the coming year. Right now, enjoy yourself and have fun, and put an intention out there and order for yourself love, fun, joy, abundance. When I say order, you can place that order literally
Yeah.
to the universe,
Oh, yes.
and be that person who is in harmony. And if you are in balanced place, everything will fall around you, everything will balance around you. I sometimes really feel when I walk down, I don't know where I was, and I was walking down the market, and was it yesterday or day before? And I thought to myself, oh my God, this feels as if I ordered it and it's right in front of me. How come I can see this and others can't? Because, and then I said, this is for me only, this is for my eyes only. You know, when the time is right and your intent is right, things just shower down your head and are thrown into your aura and placed around you. If we carry toxic thoughts, we are going to create only toxicity. I don't know anyone's life which is perfect. I don't know anyone who's perfect. I will conclude today too with everybody saying this. Stop searching for perfection and start accepting all the imperfection that's around you. Because when you start accepting imperfection, you make it beautiful. like Archana said, it wasn't that, Heer was very pretty. It wasn't about the body being pretty, it was about the soul being pretty. We reject so many women in our country. Moti hai, kali hai, aisi hai, waisi hai. Just accept yourself the way you are and accept others the way they are. And perfection अपने आप चल के आ जाएगी. Perfection will walk right up till your doorstep.
It surely will.
Thank you.
Thank
Happy
you. God
New Year.
bless.
Have fun. Thank you, Dr. Archana. Very
Thank you.
grateful. Happy New Year to you and your family too. Bye bye.
God bless everyone. Thank you.